Hello, everyone. Happy Sunday. I'm so glad that you're joining in on the next part of the junk journal tutorial. Today is the big day. We're sewing in our signatures. And so, what we're going to do is I'm going to show you the way I'm going to sew in this junk journal. There's different ways that you can sew in junk journals, but with this one, I'm just going to show my method because this is how I want to do this or this particular junk journal. So I'll just wait for just for a second just to see who's joining. I see someone's already in there. Hi, thank you for joining. I hope you're having a happy crafty day. Um, I've had a very good weekend so far. Yesterday, there was a Make-A-Wish scrapbooking crop, and it was it's a small group of ladies. We get together a couple of times a year. Stephanie Bork, she hosts it, and yesterday we raised just under $800 for Make-A-Wish. So that was great, and it was a good time. Spending a day crafting with friends. And yeah, so what I did yesterday was I started to prep for the tutorial today. And with the junk journal, sewing in the signatures, it takes a little bit of time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work from two books today. So this way I'm not wasting a lot of your time. And if I go too fast, the beautiful thing about this is that you can always pause it and catch up or rewatch it. So, if you're there and if you're watching live, feel free to leave a little comment and say hi. Or if you're not watching live, yeah, still do. And if you have any questions along the way, I will be checking. And make sure you hit that little like button or follow along. This is the fifth part of our series. The first one, we prepped the altered book. The second one, what do we do? We tea-dyed papers. The third one, oh gosh, I think we did envelopes maybe. Oh no, we prepped the signatures. The third one we did, or the fourth one we did the envelopes. And then now we're going to sew our signatures into our spine. So there's going to be a few tools that you're going to need for this. You're going to need your prepped spine. And then you're going to need, of course, your signatures. I like to use an awl when I do my holes. This is a good size awl right here. It's going to make a nice big hole for me. You're going to need some sewing needles. I like to use the largest I1 because I am using a wax string. This I find glides into the paper really well. You can get this off Amazon. They have a whole bunch of different colors. Maybe I'm going to use a different color today just because I'm doing green. Yeah, so there were plenty in the set. Ooh, that black might look cool with the green. I think we're going to use black. And this way you can see it too. You can also use just like a really strong thread. I picked this up at a it's called Princess Auto here, but you could find it in the States or wherever. You're like this is for it's a really strong thread, and this is for repairing a canvas, or a tarp. So I use this one too. This one's really good, and I love the color of it. It's super strong. I've never had any issues with it. If you're going to use a thread, make sure it's a really good thread. So we've got that. You're going to need a pen because we're going to mark our holes that we're sewing into. A ruler or a scoreboard would be great. I've done it either way and it works fine. Like paper, like copier paper, or just some kind of paper to use. We're going to cut this. This will be our, one paper will be our guide, and then the other paper is actually going to go underneath our fabric. But we'll get to that. And then let's see, paper, you're going to need a strong glue. Mod Podge is really good. Another good one is the Nuvo adhesive. Some people use the clear glue, which I'm not seeing on my desk. Usually I have that. And that one also works well too. I find with that one, it dries a little bit too slow for me. These two dry really well, especially the Nuvo. It dries really fast. Let's see, strong glue. You're going to need a brush to put the glue on. So this is optional. I'm going to use a fabric tape. Like I said in prior videos, I love 49 Market, and they have a color swatch series. I'm actually creating a junk journal for each of their color swatches. And yeah, so I'm using this today. You can use fabric if you want, or you can just use a regular paper, like scrapbooking paper, like a thicker paper you're going to want to secure your signatures into the book spine. And what's also helpful are some little clips or larger paper clips. So let's get started here. I'm just going to clear this out. And again, if you have any questions along the way, make sure you just drop them in there. And if it's not live, drop them in. I'll still get back to you on it. Okay, so with this book, so my colors are green and white. This is, what's the name of this paper? I can't remember the color of it, but it's really close to Willow. Willow is really close to Botanical and vice versa. And so, yes, I'm kind of using these colors intermittently because they're so close to each other. And I couldn't find the paper in one of the colors, so I just decided to do both. Anyway, so we're going to prep our spine on the outside, and this is only if you want. Whoops, I didn't mean to hit the camera. This is only if you want to do this. You might just want to use paper on the outside or keep the spine as is. Some people sew through the spine. For this series of color swatches, I don't want to sew through the spine. I just want to have the color of the theme of the book on the outside. And so that's why I'm using the fabric tape. I really love their fabric tape. It is so useful. It's just beautiful. I love it. And so I want to prep this before I put my spine in, so this way I can take my fabric and go over the edges and glue them down. I don't want to do it after because I won't get as much fabric tape setting on the outside of it. And I'll show you what I mean. So yeah, I'm just going to go along the edge here. I'm going to go ahead and put some glue on my spine. And I think I'll use the Mod Podge. So you can get the Mod Podge at, I picked mine up at the Dollarama. And it was a really good price there. You can get it at other places. Like I've seen it, of course, at Michael's, and it's also at Walmart. Walmart carries it. It's a good price there. So I'm putting this down here because the tape, the fabric tape that we're using, it is repositionable. So I just want to make sure that my fabric tape is not going to move. And this is what I'm doing with my paintbrush right now. I'm putting it on a baby wipe, so this way it doesn't stick to any of my surfaces. I don't want glue on my work surface here. So I'm going past the actual spine, and that's because I want to curl this fabric over the edge. Here we go. Do that. Oops. So I'm really pushing this down. I'm trying to get in there to all the bends of this spine. I don't know if you can see that very well, but I really want this to stick on there. So we did this too when we were prepping the inside of our book, and that was in video 1, when we took the book and we strengthened we strengthened the spine of it, and that was on the inside of it. So now we're doing the same thing on the outside. And doesn't that look great? I love that already. Like really, I wouldn't even need to put paper on either side of this, but I'm still going to do it. But like that's beautiful. Oops, I didn't mean to hit the camera again. Okay, so now, oops, I really moved that, didn't I? Sorry about that. So now I'm going to add some adhesive so that it will hold down that. So I'm just going to put that over there. And this doesn't have to look pretty on the inside because we're going to cover this with our signatures. So again, I'm just kind of pushing it in there. And like that looks really good, right? And what I like about this is this is strengthening the top of my and the bottom of my book spine. And I'm just going to do this, do it like that, a little bit easier. So again, I'm rolling it over, and I'm going in there as tight as can be. If you have a bone folder, you can do this too. That's pretty good. So I've got that. That's strengthened up the spine. That was in video 1. And so now I've got this. Just going to go over this one more time. Doesn't it look great? Gosh, that's pretty. Oh, lovely green. Okay, so I'm just going to set this aside so that it can dry. So now I'm going to start prepping my spines. And what I want to do is, and this is the way I'm doing it for the journals in this series. So we've already made our signatures. Like we gathered up our stuff for our signatures. We decided what's going to go into each one. And then I took a piece of the paper that's in the series, this 49 Market swatch series. And I took the paper size of the signature. I can't remember the size offhand. I think it was 5.5 by 8.25. And so I did 5.5 by 8.25, 5.5 by 8.25, and I added an extra 1/4 of an inch. And I created like this little, I'm not going to call it a file, but kind of a divider. And I just like the way this looks. It's almost as if I'm making cool little chapters in my book. And I'm doing it for the whole series. I really like it. And it kind of divides my journal up into a very interesting way. You don't have to do this. You can just take your signatures and just sew them right into the spine, or you can sew them onto the fabric and paper like I'm going to do in this method. You do not have to do this. This is just my personal choice and the style of the journals that I'm making right now in this series. So I made 4 of these. My book is, the book for this one is a little bit thinner. And I didn't want to go wider than this just because the book I feared wouldn't close very well. So it's going to be a smaller book than the other ones in this series, but I don't care. I don't have a lot of paper in this anyway, and it's going to look beautiful. So when you pick your signatures, you're going to want to put them in an order that you want them in the book. And what I mean by this is that when I open this book, this is going to be the first paper that's seen. That is gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. And then when you go on in the book, the papers are still pretty. They're very pretty, but they're not going to be the showcase, what do you call it, dividers that I have for the front. And look at that back. Isn't that stunning. So when this book is opened and you look at the front and you look at the back, like that's just gorgeous. So this is the order that I'm doing my signatures in. And you might want to do the same thing too. Just make sure that you put your signatures in the order that you want them in. So next, I'm going to take a piece of paper. And this is just copier paper. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure my spine. And I'm just going to have a Post-it note here. So this way I don't forget my numbers offhand. So, or my book. So right now my spine is, where's my ruler? It's right there. My spine is 9 1/4. And my spine width is about, it's hard to tell. I'll just go like this. It's about, it's almost 1 1/2. So it's 1 1/2 for the spine. But the thing is, I don't want to make this the same width of this spine, because with my fabric, I want to add more reinforcement onto the inside of this. Or if you just choose paper, I just want it to go a little bit beyond what the width of my spine is, and that's just going to add a little bit more strength to it. And the reason why I do that is because other times when I've made this, well, when I've done it this way, like I've gone like a 1/2 inch over or 3/4 of an inch over, and I find that after opening and closing it a whole bunch of times, it starts to lift up, and I don't want that. So I'm actually going to go a little bit above and beyond. And yeah, I'm thinking like 2 inches past. This way, it's going to have a really good grab onto the inside of this journal. And it won't matter anyway because, like how it looks. Because I'm just putting another piece of paper over the inside of this anyway. So I got my strength and, it's going to be covered. So if it's 1 1/2, I'm going to add 4 inches to it. So it's actually going to be 9 1/4 by 5 1/2. So I'm going to go ahead and cut my paper to that width. Or, I'm sorry, it was 9 1/4 by 5 1/2. Now you could just do this with a ruler and some scissors, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to use my cutter because my cutter is better at this than I am with drawing a line and cutting with scissors. Oops. Okay, so then next, let me move those out of the way. So next, I'm also going to cut another piece of paper. And this is going to be the paper that I'm going to use just to mark the inside of my signatures. So I'm just going to stick with this width here. And yeah, I'm just going to cut it to the 9 1/4. 9 1/4. Okay, so now I have these papers here, and this is these papers are this paper is going to be used with the fabric on it, and this one is going to be used on the inside of my signature to mark where my holes are going. So we're going to use a 5-hole stitch, and so what that means is that we're going to have 5 holes, and we're going to stitch our signatures in using this method. So is that the right size? Oh my gosh, I can't even cut things the right size. Let's measure this here. 9 1/4. That is 9 1/2. See? I can't even cut well with a cutter. Okay, 9 1/4. That's 8 1/4. Okay. See, this is why I write numbers down. Is that the right size? Yes, it is. Huzzah. Okay. So, I'm just going to fold right away. I'm just going to fold this one in half. Copier paper is difficult to fold in half. I had no idea. I'm used to working with the thicker paper, which folds easily. Okay, so with this, again, this is going on to the book itself. What I want to do is I want to start marking where my holes are going to be. And the thing is, my books, my signatures, are actually smaller than the height of my book. And the reason why I do this is because I add tabs, I add lace, I add paper clips. So I make sure that my my journals, my signatures, are a little bit smaller than my book. That's my personal preference. You can make it as long as you want. But what I'm going to do first is I'm going to mark this to where, like this is about even here. I'm going to go the other way. So I'm just going to mark where's my pen? I'm just going to mark where my book, my signatures, I keep saying book, where my signatures end. Because this is going to be my guide when I put this into my signatures to create my hole. Okay, so now I need to put holes in. And so this is a 5-hole stitch. So the first thing I'm going to do is, I'm going to actually show you a way to do it with a scoreboard, and then you can also do the same thing with a ruler and a pen. Actually, first I'll start with the ruler. So again, this is 5.5 inches long, and I'm going to find the middle of this. So half of 5.5 is 2 3/4. So I'm just going to mark that right here. And then I'm going to do the same on the bottom. And then I can take a pencil. Let's see if I have one. And I'm just going to draw a line. Okay. So my signatures are 1/4 inch wide. So I'm going to go over 1/4 inch and mark that. And I have 4 of these, so I'm going to go over another 1/4 inch the other way. And is that right? Yes. Oh my gosh. Okay, and then I'm going to go another 1/4 inch the other way. Now, this is obviously going to be off center a little bit because I have 4. If I had 5 signatures, I would do another one over here, but my book is small. So what I will do is this side now is just a little bit longer than this side. Like this side will have another signature here than this side. So I'm just going to cut 1/4 inch off that side. And you don't have to. People aren't going to measure that 1/4 inch, but this is just what I do. There. So now we have it so this paper, the signatures are going to be perfectly centered. Oh, I'm going to do the other side. See, this side has 2 of them. And 1 on that side. Okay, let's do this here. And 1 more here. Oh, shoot. See, this is why I do it in pencil, because I moved it. There we go. Perfect. Okay, so I'm just going to mark here right now where the edge of my book is, or my signatures. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I do not want my holes to go too close to the end of my signatures, because the pages will rip, and I don't want that. Okay, so that's my line there. That's my keep out area. Just doing that so that's a reminder to me to not put anything in there. There we go. Okay, so now we get to find the middle of this. So this is 9 1/4, so that means it's 4 5/8 for the center of this. 4 5/8. If you don't want to do math, all you have to do is just fold it down the center and mark it. I'm going to mark it in a couple spots here. 4 and there we go. 4 5/8. Okay, so that's the middle one. And I want to have 2 more holes on either side. So just to make sure that I'm not getting too close to the edge there, I am going to go a 1/2 inch down. Now, if you have a scoreboard, you will not need to use a ruler, because you could just use the scoreboard to just mark your lines. But not everyone has a scoreboard. And yeah, so I was going to show the scoreboard method today, but you know what? I'm just going to stick with this, so that this way anyone can follow along with this tutorial, and they won't need special equipment for it. Okay, so now, is that right? Did I do my math wrong? So that's about 4 7/8, or 3 7/8, and 3 7/8. Yep, no, I did that right. Okay, so I am just going to go, like, it doesn't have to be perfectly centered, and I don't feel like doing any more math because it's Sunday morning and math is hard. So I'm just going to go 1 3/4 down. Another 1 3/4 down. Again, it doesn't have to be centered. No one's going to open up your junk journal and take measurements of it. If they did, that'd be so weird. Imagine giving a junk journal to someone and they're just like, you know what? That was off by 1/8 of an inch. It'd be so weird. Okay, so Okay, and there we go. We got that. That's not very straight, is it? Okay, there we go. One. Perfect. And so now to do it for this, you've already got your piece of paper folded, so make sure you're all lined up here. This makes it really super easy. And we're just going to mark that. And then when I open this up, I'm just going to put a dot where it meets the spine. Okay, so now we have this all marked. And this is when you can start using your awl to put the holes in. And oh, you know what? We need to put the fabric on this. How did I miss that one? So this is only if you're going to use a fabric on here. If you're just using regular scrapbooking paper, then yeah, obviously you can skip this step. But I'm using this, and yeah, so I'm going to prep this paper just really quick. Is this what I want to use? You know, I wouldn't mind using something. Yeah, you know what? My Nuvo is a little bit drier, so I'm just going to use my Nuvo. I'm going to go around the edges. I'm going to try to get really close to the edge here. And I'm just going to kind of put it in there. You can see that my Nuvo has a smaller tip than the other one, but that's okay. If you want to spread that with your finger, you can. Well, you know what? Maybe I should. Just kind of make it a little more even there. This is why I keep baby wipes handy. Yep, it's already starting to dry. So I'm going to work quickly here. I'm going to try to go as straight as I can. I am going to go a little bit over, and then I'll just trim that. Okay. Oh, it's just too small. So what I will do is I'll put just a little strip of another fabric down the center from the same series. When you buy the fabric from them, you get several different widths. And let's see. Not that anyone's going to see this on the inside, so I'll just use this color here. Isn't that just gorgeous? That is such pretty fabric. So I don't know if they're making these anymore. Like they're selling the washi sheets now in a package, and yeah, it's not going to be big enough for future spines, which is too bad. But the good thing is that the colors I have right now, I'll be able to use with a lot of their product, just because they have so many of the color swatches, and a lot of the colors that they use in the swatches are what they use in their other paper too. So that will be that is good. Yeah, so there we go. We've got that. So this is going to be obviously the bottom side of my signature spine. I'm starting to run out of space here. Oh, I gotta close that. Okay, so now, oh, and there was something I forgot to tell you to use is I've got this high density foam, and I use this to protect my work surface. So if you can find a good foam to work under, that would be great. This is for flower forming. Came in a flower forming kit, but if you're a stamper and you've been around for a while, they have this like burgundy foam. I don't know if you remember that. That works well too, and that stuck to me. Okay, so we're just going to go in and we're just going to punch these holes. And really make sure that you're going through there to punch them. We want to have nice big holes so that we can see where we're going, and also so that our needle goes through well. And there's different size awls out there. I have a small one too, and I realized quickly that the small one, although it made the hole and I was able to locate it, my needle was bigger than my awl, and it actually, oh, darn it, it actually, my needle was actually making the hole, and it makes it a little tricky to do the holes because you need a little bit more strength when you're sewing through, sewing your signatures in. And you know what? I didn't want that. Okay, so there are my holes. You can see through them very well. And so now I'm going to start sewing my signatures into this. And I'm only going to show two because it takes a little while to sew through. And but I already have another one prepped, and I'll show you how it goes into the book. So this way I'm not taking up too much of your time. Okay, so I don't know if I'm going to keep that there or not. Okay, so I have this, I have this. And don't forget, you have your lines there, and that is going to help you with lining all of this up. So here's my signature. And I'm going to, let's see if this one will hold everything in. It holds most of it in, but it's not holding that. So this is where my big paper clip is going to come in. So like if you have envelopes in here, a big paper clip is helpful. So I'm folding this in. What I'm doing is I'm lining up that line. Actually, how about I just cut that? Brilliant. And where's my small cutter? There we go. I'm just going to cut it. So why not? Do that. Again, if you have a ruler, pencil, you could just do that line and just cut it. Okay, so this is going to be much easier. Oh yeah, there's that. I'm going to use another paper clip. Where are my paper clips? I'm going to use another paper clip to hold that in because I don't want it to move. I'm going to use two actually. I don't want that to move when I put my holes in. So as you can see, it can be a little time consuming prepping your signatures, but once you get past the first little bit of putting your holes and figuring out your holes and stuff like that, you're just going to fly through these parts. So I am going to go ahead. I'm holding this like this, making sure I'm in the center here, which I am. And I'm just going to put those holes in. And what I'm going to do is I'm just kind of loosen them around in there just because my foam's not very thick. And I want to make sure that my hole is big enough because you can see it graduates down. Let's see, got that. And one more here. Okay, so there we go. There's that. So this is my cover. And so I'm going to do the first line of holes here. You can't really see them very well, but I'm going along that one. So I'm going to take my needle. Like I said, I like using a big needle. I find it's a little bit easier to work with. And I have black twine. Oh, there we go. So I tried doing this a different way yesterday. And you know what? Because I saw someone else do it and it didn't work for me. So this is the way I do it. You're going to probably have a little bit of, no, you will have a little bit of extra twine or thread that you're going to need to cut off. But the other way that I saw someone do it just didn't work. It was very messy. So this is the way I do it. Okay, so I'm just gonna, because this is wax, I'm just gonna spin that just a little bit. This way it'll kind of stay in place. So this is the 5-hole stitch. So I start in the center and then I go under. I do the hole next to it and then I go up and I go down and I go in and I do this weird looking 8 and I go into the bottom hole and I come back around and I come up through the center. I know that's a lot to take in, so I'm just going to show you. So, oops, gotta take that paper out. Don't need the paper anymore. Okay, so I'm going through the center. And then I'm going to go into here. I'm going into my first hole there. So I'm going in. Now, at this point, what you can do is you can add a little bit of tape here or washi tape or something, which I think I might do because I don't want to lose that tail. I don't want the tail to come out. So I'm just going to take a little bit of this, easily removable tape. I'm just going to put it right there. You don't have to do that. I just don't want to pull too hard on this. Okay, so next I'm going to go into this one. So I'm just going to use this hole here as a guide. I'm going through, and then I am going to this next one up. I'm going through this way, and I've just come out. So it looks like a mess right now. But once you get past the first, awkward stretch there, you pull it nice and tight, so you have this right here. And so now I'm going to go into this top hole. I'm going to go through the top hole here. Now, if you can't see your holes, you can always take, a pen or a marker or something and just put a dot there. So this way you can see the holes when you're coming through. Like if you're using a pattern paper and you want to make sure that you see that hole, yeah, just do that. Again, no one's going to see it. So I've got that. It's tight there. You can see here it's loosened up. So I'm just going to tighten that just a little bit. Now I'm going to go through this one again. If you're using, I find it, especially with a wax thread, you don't want to sew through that thread. You want to avoid the center of the thread because you don't want, it's just like when you're sewing, you don't want to break that thread or get stuck in it. So there we go. Oh, I'm a little bit off. There we go. Okay. So I've sewn that through. It's nice and tight. Nice and tight there. It's a little off there. I was pushing incorrectly on it. but that's okay. Okay, so now I'm going to go through this hole here and there. Is it that one? Nope, sorry. It's, yeah, no, that's right. Oh my gosh, what am I doing? Okay, so I'm going to go through here, up, and over. So now I've got this through the center. And then I'm going to go through this last hole here. Just going to go right through. I think the next time I might mark this because this pattern has black in it. And I'm having a hard time seeing that hole. So now that's what the back looks like. It's a little loose there, but that's okay because I can just pull that. That's good. And so now I'm going to go back through this hole. Go through that center. See, that was a good one. I did that one right. And then I'm going to go back through this one because this is where it gets a little tricky. There we go. I'm going to have one thread coming out this side, and then this thread's going to come out the other side because I'm going to tie this into place. There we go. So let's see how we did here. That's pretty good. I'm a little upset about the hole that I made off to the side there, but I mean, it's okay. It's going to work. That side looks great. So the reason why I'm going this way, I'm sewing in first, is because I don't want to have this knot, because I'm going to tie this twice here. I'm going to make a double knot, is because I don't want knots on the back of this. I want to have this nice and flat when it's going into the spine. Okay, so I'm just going to trim that off there. Scissors. Look at that. So, and if you watch the envelope video I did, that was the last video, yeah. My gosh, what a morning. This is an envelope that I left it open, and what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to sew this, or not sew, I'm going to add a little bit of glue here and a little bit of glue here, and I'm going to have another pocket here. So that's why it looks like that. But that was in the last video. But I just kind of wanted to show what's going on with that. So you guys want me to do one more maybe? Oh, it's 10:48. Okay, so I can't do another one because I don't want to go too long on you guys. Like, shoot. I feel like I should though, because that's a lot. I'd like to go through that one more time, just because. And if you don't want to watch this part, then yeah, just fast forward. But the 5-hole stitch can be a little tricky, especially if you haven't done it before. So I just want to make sure you guys fully understand. So I really apologize for the length of this video, but again, I don't want you guys to be disappointed with your signatures because we put a lot of work into our junk journals. And when you get to this point, like this is a critical part in your journal, sewing this in, and you want to make sure that you're sewing it in correctly. And, you know, I don't want you guys to be disappointed at this critical point. So again, I put my paper in here. Where's my all? Goodness gracious, what a desk. Okay, so I'm going to go in and put my holes in. Okay, and you know, on this side, like I said, I'm going to mark this because I want to make sure that I can see these holes just a little bit better. Yeah, that's much better. See, I can't even see that one there. And that would have been my next one. So yeah, you know what? I'm glad I'm doing this because I'm going to make a point here about this. When you're sewing your signatures in, make sure you have your signatures in the correct orientation, because you don't want to sew your signatures in upside down, obviously. No, I'm going to put one more paper clip on there just so the stuff doesn't move. So this is my top here. Luckily, my paper shows orientation really well, and I've got it lined up there. So I'm going to take another piece of this. I'm going to do 1, 2. What I like about this wax string is that when you tie the knot, when you tie it twice, the wax on there is going to help hold that in. So again, I'm just doing this. This just helps me hold it into place. Okay, so do it one more time. I'll go a little bit quicker this time. So there's the center. Is that a pretty image? Okay. Sewing it in. Okay, so center. I'm going to go in through this hole. Oops, am I tight? No, I'm not tight. String went around. Okay, so I got that in there. Then I'm going to go up through here. So this is my second hole up. And I'm going to go in through this right here. So it's like you're doing a little figure 8 up on the top. So that's nice and tight. We'll look at the back just to make sure. That's nice and tight. Then I'm going to go up through the top. Good thing I marked that hole. There we go. Then I'm going to go in. See, it loosened up when I tightened that, or when I put that in. So that's why you always check. So I'm going in through the hole. Then in through here. Ah, there we go. See, that's a better one. That's much better. Nice and tight. Then I'm going here into the second hole from the bottom. Going in through the other side. Going up there. Then I'm going up through the top, or through that last hole. We're almost there. Coming in this way. Tight. So I'll fix this at the end. Then we're going in through that second to the bottom hole. There we go. Then we're going to go in through the middle. And again, I'm going on the outside of this. I'm going to go this way. Where is it? There we go. There's my needle, so I'm just going to plop that over. Going like this. And like I said, that one's a little loose, so I'm just going to take the tape off now. I might press down on it too hard. Okay, but it did not do anything. I'm going to tighten that. See, so that's nice and tight now. Everything's nice and tight. You don't want to pull it too hard because you don't want to, wreck your paper. I'm doing 2 knots. Again, this is wax. It's going to hold really well. Scissors, scissors. Okay, so I'm just going to trim that just a little bit more. Okay, so I'm not going to put the other two in. I have another book ready here. So this was the yellow book that I was working on. So the cover on this is ready. So with this book, it was too dark for my washi or for this fabric to go over. So I put a piece of copier paper down and I put the fabric on top of it because I didn't want the blue to show through the fabric. So that's why there's paper there. So with this inside, so make sure that your book is lined up properly with your signatures, and it is, because there's my pretty front, there's my pretty back. And so now I'm going to use some Mod Podge, I think. This is really good for holding paper in. So I'm going to go down the center of this with my Mod Podge. And I am really going to put that in there. Now the thing is, if you are using, like let's say you don't want to put the paper underneath there. The thing is, with glue, if you put a lot on, and if your fabric looks wet, then your fabric is going to dry with that wet look. And you might not, I'm going to put some more glue on this side, just because. Probably overdoing it, but. So what I was saying is, it will look wet when it's dry. So you might want to be aware of that when you are gluing. So I'm doing this just to make sure I'm lined up. I want my book centered in here. That's pretty good. So I'm going to push that down in there. Oops. I'm pushing it down just right here. Just right here. Going on the edge a little bit. If you have a bone folder, this is where it will come in handy, because you can use your bone folder to kind of push in between. Make sure that you're really getting good adhesion between your signatures and your book spine. I'm really pushing it in. Okay, so now that's done. So now I'm going to put glue underneath here. In this case, it's the Mod Podge underneath here. So just gonna push or put the glue or the Mod Podge all over this. Make sure you get the edges well. So now we're gonna go like this. We're gonna press out and push out. So I'm using this scoreboard tool here. If you have a smooth edged ruler, you can do it with that. If you have one of those dough things that you use in the kitchen when you're making dough and you put it underneath your dough to lift it up and move it around. I forget what those are called. You can use that too. I know Betty Crocker you can get it at the dollar store. It's nice and smooth. I used to use that before I got this really nice tool. Okay, so that's nice and good in there. Look at that. That is awesome. So when this dries, I might have to add, just a little bit there. I'll go in with a fine brush and make sure that those edges are in. Okay, so I'm going to put a little bit more in there. So this is really going to strengthen up this spine even more. And you're going to have a good, strong hold between your signatures and this book. So I apologize for the length of this video, but you know what? This takes time. This part of your junk journal process takes time. And if you're going to do something, especially when you're making a beautiful junk journal for yourself or for, a loved one or that you're going to sell, if you're going to do it, you might as well do it right. You might as well make sure it's going to be good quality and that it's going to last a while. Oops. So there we go. Okay, so I'm just going to wipe that off there. Again, that's why I have baby wipes. So I'm just going to close this, make sure everything looks good. Everything looks really nice in there. Let's see how it unfolds. That looks good. I'm going to go in one more time on this side just because I see a little bit of an air gap in there. And I'll do the same for the other side. So at this point, you're going to want this to dry. What I like to do is I like to put something on either side of this so that this way it's still pressing down. The weight of your signatures are pressing down on that spine. So I'm just going to put like stuff along either side here. Like I might throw this there. Where's the cover? And then I might put like a block or something. Oh, there's Kleenex here. I wonder if that'll work. Kleenex does not work. But, I'm just going to add some weight on either side of this. And I'm just going to let this dry like this. I want the weight here, and I want the weight on my, on that, the flanges that are coming out, just to make sure that, it's going to dry nice and flat. One time, and this is just a word of caution, one time I didn't do it flat, and my glue actually stuck onto my the first part of my signature, and so I had this little stuck part there. It just looked awful. I didn't like that. It was to get that far into your journal, and then that happened. It was like heartbreaking. But anyway, so that's this. So I'm just going to let this dry. I'm just going to let this sit here all day, actually, just because I just want to make sure that it has a good amount of drying time and that everything's going to be just right. So, make sure you like this video. Make sure you follow me on this series. We're going to cover, a whole bunch of crafty things. Next week, we're going to make a waterfall journal. Oh, so exciting. It's so pretty. I made this on Wednesday and it took no time at all to do this. And the results are just, look at this. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? It was so easy to make. But yeah, so we're going to do that next week. It's fun. It's this time of year. It's got the fall theme to it, but you can use it for any kind of theme. Anyway, thank you so much for stopping by. Make sure you like the video. Make sure you follow me, and I hope that if you're crafting today, that you are having a happy crafty day. Thanks. Bye.